Welcome to another episode of our Joy Corner with our girl guide, Heather Boschke. Heather, permission to be imperfect?
Permission granted.
Why do we feel the need to be so perfect?
Okay, so the definition of perfect is something completely free from faults and defects. So right there, we know we can never be perfect because to be human is to be flawed. And this need or drive to be perfect comes from a few different places. One of them is our parents, and bless their hearts, they only want the best for us. But we got praised for getting the A instead of the effort in trying to get the A when maybe we got a C+. And we got celebrated for winning competitions instead of maybe how kind we were. And so here we are as adults, still trying to get those gold stars and A's when they don't even exist. Another place is social media. It showcases idealized versions of reality, from perfect bodies to perfect lifestyles, and constant exposure to these images leads us to believe that we need to achieve these similar levels of perfection in order to be valued or accepted, which we know is fake news. And then self-worth is another one, because for some of us, our self-worth comes from our achievements. It's really closely tied together. And we may feel like we are only worthy or lovable if and when we are perfect. But when you really think about it, it's actually all of our faults and screw-ups and mistakes that endears us to each other. Because I don't know about you, but hanging out with someone who is flawless and never makes mistakes and never screws up sounds entirely not fun and very boring.
Which is why you're friends with me. It's clean up on aisle 9.
I love you.
All right, so we're embracing mistakes. I mean, right? This is the whole idea, is that we should give ourselves permission to be imperfect.
Yes, we need to think of it as like the art of making mistakes. They are essential to any transformation, and they're actually like the superhighway to personal development and to resilience and to creativity and to growth. Because when we mess up, we are presented with an opportunity to assess what went wrong, identify lessons, come up with creative solutions, and make changes for the future, which is the entire process of growth and adaptability and resilience. We learn the most when things go wrong versus when they go right, which is why mistakes are the superhighway of learning. And also, when we mess up, we're reminded that we're human, which makes us more empathetic and compassionate towards others when they make mistakes, because we all do. And that leads us to having better relationships and just being better humans. And so I've got 3 ways to get better at embracing mistakes. And the first is always find the lesson. One of the silver linings to making a mistake, no matter how big or small, is that you learn from it. You learn something from it. Every experience, every encounter, every mistake is there to teach us and helps us to become more of who we are. And a really great mantra to remember is, we either win or we learn. There is no losing. Number 2 is be kind to yourself. So imagine that a good friend made this mistake. Would you call them names? Would you be so unforgiving? So give yourself that same grace and compassion. And a mistake doesn't make you a bad person or an idiot or a loser. It makes you a human having a beautiful and messy experience, which is life. And the third is normalize mistakes. We need to share our mistakes with others and talk about them, because the more we speak our truth, which includes our mess ups, we quickly realize that we are all out here fumbling and stumbling our way through.
Yeah, I mean, I try to find a little humor in the mistakes, to be honest, because, you watch these prank shows and things like that. Being human is kind of a funny condition for sure. I also think about mess ups, this is on a serious note, is that the discovery of penicillin was by accident. Just some of that bacteria floated into that petri dish, and the cure was there. But do you have maybe a mess up that you could share that you learned from?
I've got so many mess ups, but let me tell you one that was particularly painful for me this year. And that was so my first book came out in February. So in March, I had like 200 of these book babies out in the world. I was so proud of myself and the book baby. And a friend's husband reached out to me and said, I think you're missing a word on a page in your book. And I said, that's not possible. I have read this darn book 100 times. It's been copy edited. It's been proofread. This is not possible. And the way the book is laid out, it says like Barry is a blue jay, Clarence is a cardinal. And on the page that was supposed to say Sammy is a house sparrow, it said Sammy is house sparrow. I missed the A. And I had read it a million times, and so had other people. And I had 200 of these books out in the world, and I was so embarrassed. This is my first book. I knew I didn't know what I was doing, and now there's proof out in the world. And I was telling my husband, Tom, about it, and he said, you know what? They're just more rare now. They're actually increased in value because it's like a rare collection, and there's only 200 of them out there. And that reframe, along with a little time and a little wine, I started to laugh about it. And how about you? Do you have a mess up you can share with us?
Oh, girl, again, not today. Needless to say, there's plenty. Raising 4 kids was not easy work, and making mistakes in the process was all part of it. But needless to say, I wouldn't change a thing, and meeting you was the happiest accident I've ever had.
So good. And to your point about penicillin, same thing with pearls, right? Imperfections got into an oyster and then it started secreting this oil so just think about it. How many pearls can we start collecting in our life?
Ooh, I like that. I like pearls too. Well, honey, thanks for the time. There you go. You have permission now to go out and make a mess. Get messy, live life. You're only human.